In such a quiet village, tens of years left many memories and many more secrets. Al-Gasab is the white gold city that is famous for its gold and rich with clay-made houses that narrate labor-intensive and different life stages. So what is Al-Gasab going to tell us? Al-Gasab is located 150 kilometers to the northeast of capital Riyadh. It is one of the Al-Washm province towns. Its downtown is called Shagra, and it's 32 kilometers to the west of Al-Gasab. Yaqub al-Hamawi mentioned in his book, Atlas of Countries, that Al-Qusayba is a part of Yamama County. Sheikh Muhammad bin Blahid, a historian, mentioned in his book, Authentic News, that Al-Gasab is located between Al-Kathib and Al-Atq as one of the villages of Yamama County. He also stated that, quote, Al-Qusayba has its name from long time ago and it's one of the countries of Yamama County known as Al-Gasab. It's known for its wheat production. If we need to determine its location exactly, it is located on 30 to 45 longitude east and 25 to 30 latitude north. Al-Gasab is located on a flat land called Al-Hamada, surrounded by the Tuwayq Mountains in the north, Tarif al-Habl Sand in the south and the west. Al-Gasab is at the entrance of Tuwayq Mountains that is called Ab al-Hayal. Newly published statistics stated that Al-Gasab population is more than 5,500 persons. Some studies stated that the beginning of Al-Gasab dated to pre-Islam era. It was named Al-Gasab around 700 after Hijrah. Many people inhabited Al-Gasab for hundreds of years. It attracted many people to establish their homes for many reasons, such as plentiful salt existence, medicine from herbs in small gardens and large gardens. In the past, villages used to have walls all around to protect them. Al-Gasab was also surrounded by two walls. The first wall was in the north and the east sides of the village to protect the farms, and the other one to the west and the south. When you examine the buildings, you find them in different styles. The first one is the modern Al-Gasab, and the second is the old Gasab, that is before 1400 after Hijrah. The old Gasab was a small village and included clay-made buildings following the old architecture style like the other neighboring villages. When visiting the village, it looks quiet as it is not inhabited before and at the same time full of activities. Yet the clay walls said something different on how the town looks like. The houses were structured in a linear way. The alleys and roads were narrow as the old dominant village's architecture style was. Villages were not built in the new architecture style, so the roads were not straight. Such a narrow alley was a path to the bright future. It was engraved as illuminated steps in darkness of hard life, and making Gasab into a town that had all modern life infrastructures. Old Al-Gasab also has its beautiful architectural decoration. There are many houses in Al-Gasab with decorations that make people enjoy looking at them. Al-Gasab people built their houses combining the old style and the new style to have the past and the modern architecture together. Some remains. Al-Margab. It is a small room that people use during unstable times. It's located in the eastern side of Al-Gasab, where people can watch out if there was any threat coming. Sheikh Abdullah bin Zahim House. Al-Gasab was very connected to scholars and knowledge. Bin Zahim was the distinguished figure and well known among his peers at that time. He was kept in memory of Al-Gasab and the whole country. His house's location is still known and full of his memories and stories. Poet Humaydan al-Shuway'ir House. As Al-Gasab was known as the White Gold Town, it was also the town of poetry, poets and many kinds of the poetic rhymes. One of the most famous poets from Al-Gasab is the local poet known as Humaidan al-Shuwair. His name was Hamad al-Sayyari. Many people said that Humaidan lived next to Al-Houta Gate. Al-Houta Gate was the main gate of Al-Gasab in the west side of the town. There were many neighbors that were named in Old Gasab, such as Al-Qasr, Al-Sha'ba, Libda, Mishira, Al-Hami, and Al-Latifiyah. There is an old souk called Al-Abedi that was renewed lately. This souk is not only a place for people to sell and buy things, but it's also like a social gathering of Al-Gasab people. People gather after performing Al-Jum'ah prayer to shake hands and inquire about each other. This village would not be well known in the past except for its distinguished feature that is not in other villages around. It was the white gold story. Al-Gasab is one of the most famous places as a source of salt that was mentioned by Yaqub al-Hamawi in Country's News. He said, quote, "A village called Al-Ramada, as one of the villages known by Imru al-Qais bin Zayd Manah bin Tamim, which has many palms." Al-Hamadani also mentioned it in his book Arab Island Trade as one of the most known lands of salt. Al-Gasab covers most of the KSA of salt need. It's one of the highest quality salts. To invest on this, there are many small factories built. Furthermore, there are many benefits that can be taken from the white gold treasure. Education in Gasab depended on teaching Quran to kids in groups in mosques. Teachers at that time used to be prayer leaders and religious scholars, as it was the case in many Arab villages. After that, education was established based on individual efforts. Many men and women participated in many educational movements and religious education. Kids and students who attended such educational system were called al-Garraya, which means readers. On the other hand, the teacher was known as Mugri or Mutawwa, which means educator. There was a school of boys that was built before the government offered general education. It was built from community charity. Teachers were paid from charity in cash, in dates or in wheat, so they can teach. At the same, there were female teachers to teach girls and women to read Quran. Female teachers worked for free as volunteers. When the general education was offered by the government, parents enrolled their kids in the public schools. Gasab is well known by many names and figures who served the country. Some of the Gasab people participated with King Abdulaziz, Saudi Arabia's founder. Others worked as the prayers leaders and Al-Jum'ah preacher at the Holy Mosque in Medina. Others were selected for the Conciliation Council membership. Still others were also in many official positions such as education, security department, and judiciary fields, as well as businessmen. Gasab is a rich land with good soil for planting. It's known for wheat and palms. Palms grow up in the north and east sides of the town. The weather in Gasab is rainy, and that caused water to gather and create valleys. The big valley is Al-Wadi Al-Kabir, one of the famous valleys. Primary water stream comes from Tuwaiq. It gets down to water palms and farms. It also goes through Al-Gaybiyah, the old Gasab. The east part of Gasab is also a land of many kinds of trees. It includes more than 70 places and many wells. There are many valleys in this area as well. Al-Amar Valley, Duwagher Valley, Abatlihat Valley, Abel Jirfan Valley, and Imeiwij Valley. In the south, there is a place called الصبخة. On the back of Sabkha, there are many farms and historical sites. It is believed that it was once an old village called Al-Ramada, which is known now as Zabara. Some of the best types of dates in Gasab are Hulwa, Khidri, Sillaj, Sig'i, Dkheni, etc. Not very far from Gasab, a green piece of land known as Al-Akrishiyya is located. It is a flat piece of land that located close to the sands, where rainwater gathered and stayed for months to form a lake that attracts many tourists. After silver water of such lakes is gone, it turns to be a green piece of land. Many tourists come to camping and to see spring flowers. It is a nice time for relaxing. Around Al-Gasab and many other nearby areas, there are many green places such as Al-Higna, Brudan, Rawdat Al-Athl, Al-Kathir, and Al-Tarif. Such places attract many tourists during spring. Tourists can also visit Old Gasab and walk around in many different alleys, enjoy watching walls and making good memories. Salt production houses are also considered good attractions for tourists, where they can see the workers and the owners. Tourists will get detailed and enjoyable explanations about those houses and the process of getting the salt, which has not been depleted through the decades. Al-Sabkha has a distinguished feature that Gasaba people know. It is a good place for night trips during hot summer nights, for nice weather and open spaces. There are many people who like the mountain natural resorts, especially during summer. The weather is nice and you can sit under many trees. Some of the mountain's natural resorts are طويق, الشفيعي, القلتة, الجحفة, سيخ, دلادل. On the hills of sand in the south and the west of Gasab, there are many places for visitors to practice their preferable sand hobbies. There are also many events and festivals that attract people, such as national days, religious festivals, cultural shows, and many more. What is also nice about Gasab is that there are many houses that still produce historical goods such as khasaf, hasir, منسفة, and mahaffa, hand fan. There are also some well-known foods such as kleja, fatit, gorsan, etc. An annual fair of family production is held at Gasab, which attracts many people. This is just a small portion of what the town was able to tell us as it became a town. We went deep in its memories, called on its clay-made houses, and we talked to its alleys that remember the footprints of visitors. Those visitors were not just people who came and went away. This town witnessed many developmental projects that were funded generously by the king and the working people, who converted it from a village to a nice town. If you visit Gasab, you will find all infrastructures where many educational, cultural, and social and enjoyable projects run. It is Gasab, the white gold town.